What's up, disciplined investor?
We got Benzinga CEO Jason Raznick here with us.
The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Nash.
Peter Schiff on the Power Hour with us live today. Interesting, different, unique, innovative companies. Mia, you are live with us on the Power Hour. What's up?
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Jessica Billingsley is the CEO of Akerna, the best trade idea resource out there. Yo, what's up, everybody? We are back at it. We've got a special Sunday edition. That's right. We're not just going Monday through Friday anymore. We're hitting some weekends. And we're going to do a couple things today. So we're going to do some education right now. I've got a very special guest with me who's going to be taking us through a little bit of his trading journey. And then telling us about some swing trades that he's making. And then at 1 o'clock Eastern, we're going to be passing it over to my good friend Neil, who's going to be doing a full hour basically on breakouts and how to identify breakouts. So, you know, we're taking this thing over a little bit. But David, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me.
What's up? One day Sunday here, Luke. Thanks for having me, man.
Exactly. And happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you too, sweetheart. I love it.
Awesome. So all right, why don't you give us a little preview as to what we're going to talk about today, and then get rolling with it.
Yeah, so I am just your basic run-of-the-mill guy. I'm not a huge investor. I got involved in trading as a COVID trader, man. As a COVID trader, really. And I shouldn't even use the word trader because really I'm an investor. And the reason why I don't even use the word trader is because, I mean, for the last 8 months, 6 months, I was under the PDT. And when you're under the PDT, I mean, really, can you call yourself a trader? I mean, you're not day trading. You're stuck underneath the 3-day trade. So I'm just a normal guy who's an investor who's caught some things that I feel is very beneficial to a new trader. So I'm here to talk about some of that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love that because we always ask for feedback, right? It's powerhour@benzinga.com. I'll put that in the chat. But we're always asking for feedback as to how we can get better. And, you know, time and time again, we've seen, tell us some stories from new traders. You know, tell us, you know, new traders' lessons that they learned. How are they getting a grasp on the market? And so that's exactly what we're doing. Shout out to Tom Nash in the chat saying hit the Luke button. Do that. Hit the like button too. Tom Nash, a good friend of Benzinga. But all right, David, why don't you take it away? Tell us about some of these lessons. Tell us a little bit about the journey, and then, you know, some of these moves that you're making right now.
Yeah. So listen, I was listening to you guys on Thursday, and all you guys were going around the table about who's blowing up accounts. And let me tell you, I've blown up 2 accounts, and I started at the height of the COVID pandemic when the market shot down. And I put some money into an account just because I was stuck at home all day with the 2 kids, and I'm thinking, you know, what can I do? So I put some money in the account, and then I, of course, ran to Twitter and Davey Day Trade, man. And I was pumping those airline stocks with him, you know, and I was doing well. And I took an account from 2,000 up to 10, and I got greedy. I said, this is easy. I'm going to be the next millionaire, just like I see on every single internet show and every ad that you see in stocks. So I took that 10,000. And I started getting online, and I started going after some of these small caps. And these small caps would run up $2, and I would catch the run on the call out. And then I'd get up and go to the bathroom, and I come back, and that thing had been completely reversed, and I lost my whole position. And I was just blowing up my account off those trades. So what I finally realized is that I need to find a place that I can go to that can teach me how to trade. And I came across Benzinga, and it was out of the luck of the draw, really. I was looking on the website, and I saw a Benzinga ad, and I clicked on it, and it said 2-week free trial. So I was like, yes, there we go. I don't have to pay anything, and maybe I'll learn something. So I got on there, and what happened was I went into the trade, and I went into the chat, and Sandman, the big Sandman's in there, and he's giving out stocks, and he's teaching, and he does a heck of a job. I mean, if you want to learn stocks and why they're running, he's a good resource to tell you how. And I was sitting there one morning, and I heard the Squawk Box say something about apps, digital turbine apps, and they started talking about it in the chat. And I went and I looked at the chart up, and I saw that stock had been running. So I kept my eye on that stock. In the meantime, I wasn't ready to take a position on it. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this stock, and all of a sudden I hear someone yell out, Gene, Jene. And this is the middle of the pandemic. And every single COVID stock is running and it's just taken off. And I look up Gene, it's an Australian company, and they say they have a test, they have a COVID test, and they just filed for the FDA approval. And these guys were talking about it, and I was like, oh man, this might be the one. So I jumped all in on that stock, and that thing started taking off. Luke, showed me the screen here real quick so I can show what happened to me on this trade here.
There
So
you
this
go.
is Gene. Yeah, so this is Gene right here. And that morning they started talking about this. Actually, here, let me show you this here. I can go right to, let's see here. Let me see if I get this thing in here. Well, shoot, it's not gonna work. But anyway, so I was on Benzinga News, and I had saw that Gene had just went for this FDA approval, like I talked about, and this stock started running right here. And I got in and I was jumping up and down. This thing was just ripping to the north. And I got in here about $2.50, $3, somewhere right around in here. And this thing started ripping to the north, and it started pulling back, and I started getting nervous. But these guys in the chat were still talking about, the volume that was coming in, and, thought it would still rip. And I got through this first dip right here, and it started ripping back up. And I was a new trader, dumb. And I went to my wife. I said, look at this. I said, we're going to be millionaires. This thing's going to hit. I don't have a PDT anymore. It's going to set us on our way. I'm going to be one of the next upcoming trader. I thought I was awesome right here. So it got to be in the afternoon, and it was a nice summer day outside. And I told my wife, hey, I don't have any more day trades because I was using up my day trades. I said, I'm going to let this thing run. I'm going to go outside and cut the grass. And when I come back, I'm gonna see where this thing's at. And I had no intentions of this thing pulling back. I thought this thing was going to go from 10 to 100, and the next day I could cash out. Okay, that's what my intentions and my thoughts were as a new trader, didn't know anything. So I go out and I cut the grass, and I hurry up and cut the grass. I want to get back in there and look at the stock, but I don't want to sit there and look at it all day. And I come in at about this point right here at $10. And I'm thinking, oh, 3 times my money, 4 times my money, whatever it is, I'm great. And then all of a sudden this thing just went and just started reversing. And I thought it was going to do this reverse here. That's what I really thought. I thought it was going to come down here and then we're going to get another run up. No, it just went berserk all the way down into here. Before I even knew what to do on this reversal, it had halted. The ASX, which is the Australian SEC, pretty much, whatever, they had halted that thing. And they halted that thing for days. And I got caught in that trade. I lost it all. It was hard to explain to my wife after I was up so much about what had happened. And that thing got halted. And when it came back on, I was stuck right in here. So pretty much I was thinking I was out of the PDT. I was on to make some money. And boy, was I wrong. And I see it a lot these days with traders coming in, especially with the GME and the AMCs. So that's the intro there, Luke. That's pretty much how I got into the stock market, and I learned some lessons real quick about what and what not to do.
So I guess the follow-up question that I have is, or I guess 2 questions, is what was the main takeaway from that experience, and then how did that change how you trade now?
Exactly. So I had to learn real quick, patience. Okay. It's a game of patience. Like I told you before, when I first got in this thing, I thought I was a trader. Okay. I thought I could come in and out of stocks, and I was under margin calls. I had day trades out the wazoo. I was to the point where I was a sell only account. I didn't have any idea what PDT was. I had no idea. I just thought I could go in there.
Define that real quick. So PDT, that stands for pattern day trader. And yep. It's a rule that if your account is under, I believe, $25,000, yeah, you can only make 3 day trades within how long of a period? A week?
A 5-day rolling period. So it doesn't set over each week. So if you make one on Monday, that next day trade available to you is not going to be till the following Monday. So I would come in here on a stock on a Monday when I first got involved, and I'd buy a stock, and it would run up $1 and I would cash out. I think that was cool. Hey, I made $1 off that stock. And then 2 minutes later, I'd buy another one and sell it in the same day. And at some points, I was having 3 or 4 day trades a day, and they would flag your account as a pattern day trader, and you couldn't trade. You'd be only close only. So I got stuck in that, and they have a rule where you can call some brokerages have it where you can get a one-time reset. So once I got that one-time reset and that guy on the phone talked to me about, hey, day trading and what you can and cannot do, I mean, at that point I kind of woke up, but it still didn't stop me. I mean, each week I was still doing 3 day trades trying to catch a flyer because I had no idea what I was doing. So that's where I was on that one. So what saved me is, like I said, is when I heard about this digital term buying stock. And I'm going to throw this one up here, Luke, so you can kind of follow this bad boy here. Let's see here. Apps right here. So let's go to a 1 year, 1 day. So this thing is awesome right here. Okay. So this is digital term buying. And if you were paying attention to Ripster the other day when he was on, he was talking about this stock. And I'll tell you what, that's one guy that I have followed pretty recently, last couple months. And that guy is a great guy if you're a new trader to follow. And the reason why is because what he says is education. First of all, he's teaching you the market, but what he says generally does happen. So if you're out there and you're a new trader, Ripster is the man. He's a great guy. He explains stuff slowly. You can follow his charts. You don't have to know a lot to be able to follow what he's talking about.
I'm going to put his Twitter account in the chat there.
Yeah, definitely follow that guy. And most of the guys at that Atlas Trading are awesome. I would just suggest that if you're a new trader to stick with the large caps. Just look at the large caps Discord there, and they'll tell you if this is long hold or short hold or whatever, so you don't get yourself caught. But looking at this digital term buying here, so I wish I could share this other screen here, Luke. Is that possible to do it?
Try.
How do I get this? All right, let's see here. So I had this other.
And while you're pulling that
Boom,
up,
there it is.
Well, so we're talking about sort of blowing up accounts, right? And you said, you went through the story of your first one, and you blew it up from chasing. My first one was, and I'm going to warn everybody, was penny stock newsletters, right? I had my first. It was, I think it was like my first $500. And my plan was, I had a 2-year plan. My 2-year plan was to turn $500 into 20 grand, and then buy a Dodge Charger. That was like the thing. I was already submitting inquiries on dealer websites because I knew I was on my path to making that happen. And the way that I was doing it was by subscribing to every single one of these shady penny stock newsletters that had the next Amazon or the next Microsoft or Google and that sort of thing. And I would see these stocks go crazy. I'd buy in because it's already run up, and then they would just crash and go to zero. So my takeaway for new traders, the first pitfall that I ran into was, just being sold these stocks that really don't operate, buying them because I was so eager to make money, and then watching them go to zero. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and I've learned is that to be successful in this, you've got to learn the market rather than follow the market. So you can't just get in there and follow people and expect that, they're going to show you the way to go. I mean, you've got to do your own work too. I mean, you have to put work into this thing. I mean, it's just not going to happen overnight. It took me a long time. I mean, even, I spend pretty much every day, 8 or 9 hours on this in my computer right here, just doing research and looking at stocks and listening to the right people, and the people, that I do listen to. Sometimes I don't take their advice. It's just based on what your interests are. So this right here, this digital term buying. Okay, so Benzinga is an awesome place, guys. If you're going to get out here and you're going to look for stocks, Benzinga is awesome. First of all, you got the squawk. Okay, you got seasoned traders on there. You have screeners, scanners. You have it all. And I had saw this article right here on Benzinga for digital term buying, as well as, like I was telling you, I heard it called out on the chat. And I was noticing that this right here, this June 3rd, if we look at this chart right here, they had this earnings right here. And this stock had been kind of on my radar because I was hearing some chat about it, but I never really put the two and two together because I didn't know anything about the company. I was still pretty insecure about what my trades were going to be or where I wanted to go next after blowing up accounts. But I saw this article here, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me was this guidance above. And when I heard guidance above, that means that this company in the pandemic is telling me that, hey, look, they got things coming, that they're progressing as a company, and that the outlet looks better. So what I did is I only had $2,000 in an account. I mean, it was low, and I took a trade right here off that guidance, and I took the trade all in right here. So for me to take that trade right there, I mean, it was a big deal, but I trusted the articles. I trusted what I was seeing online. I trusted their website. So, I trusted in the process that they were doing. So here's their website. And what I can tell you about this company is that this company, it's apps on phone. So during a pandemic, what are we doing the most? I mean, we're spending the most times on our phone, and this company would pump out ads on your phone. Sometimes they would already be preloaded on the phone when you bought them. So I knew that in the pandemic, people watching their phones, that this stock was going to be a pretty good one. I had no idea it was going to be this big of a monster. Let's put it that way. No idea. I was happy when this thing ran, when I bought it from here and it ran to here, and I took profits right there. But then I also put another trade in from here up into this next earnings. And when this started going down here, I got nervous as a new trader. When I saw it consolidating into the earnings, I got nervous and I sold it out right there. But in the meanwhile, that's a huge stretch of time. So what I noticed,
can you pull up that news again that tipped you off to this, or how did you get awareness of this stuff?
Yeah, let's look right here. So Benzinga right here.
Okay, trading higher, better than expected, Q4. Okay, so the thing that I really like from this news item right here is the guidance piece, and what that is when a company reports their quarterly earnings results. All public companies have to say on a quarterly basis, here's how much money we made, here's how the business did, that sort of thing. A lot of companies also say, here's how much money we expect to make in the future. And when you think about the valuation of a stock, right, it comes down to it's basically how much money is the company going to make in the future? How much cash flow is the company going to have to invest in itself and to pay out to shareholders in the future? And so when you see, companies giving good guidance, right, they're saying in 2021 we're going to earn more money than analysts are expecting. That's typically more powerful than what they did historically.
Exactly. Did I lose you here on video?
Yeah, we don't see you. We see 3 little blue dots, but I still hear you.
All right. So let me plug this camera back in. If it works, it works. There we
There we
are.
go.
All right, I'm back. Yeah. So here's what I started noticing, because look, I was all in on this thing, right? I had no other money to play with. And I'm going into this 5-day chart here, right? And we can see that on this 5-day chart, to where this stock was in the mornings, this thing would sell off. And as a new trader in this position, being all in, I would get nervous. I would get scared. I mean, that this thing was going to fall off the table, and that, here's another gene that, this thing was going to reverse itself. So what I started to realize is, like I said, is every morning this thing would kind of give this big dip right here. And I was kind of thinking to myself, well, hey, I have secured some profits here. I have some margin in my account. And every time that this thing would dip, it would be bought up, right? It would be bought up. So what I was starting to do is thinking, well, why don't I buy this dip right here if I know that this thing is going to go higher in the next day? And it was happening every single day. Now, the thing about it is, with me, is I didn't even know what a swing trade was, right? I had no idea what a swing trade was. And it dawned on me after I did some more research why this thing was ripping here, and kind of learning the market, that you can see these huge dips. And what I found out is this beautiful thing called RSI, Relative Strength Index. And RSI on here is based at 70 and 30. And 70 means when it presses 30 that this stock is supposedly overbought. And when it reaches down here, we know that it's oversold. And that's a good point to buy it. So what I would start doing is, because I had nothing else better to watch than the stock, was we knew the trajectory was still going north. and we knew that it was still climbing. So I felt comfortable taking this trade. And every time that this thing would dip down here into this low RSI, I would take a trade on it. And I would swing it into the next day, hoping to get this point right here. So if we come in here even farther, we can see that if I caught this RSI down here in this 30, somewhere in here at this 12, and I would swing this thing into the next day. And I had a rule that I always would wait for the third candle, because if you can see here, sometimes the third candle is a red one, sometimes it's a green one. And this is just
how long
basic.
are these candles that you have on the chart here?
So this is a 5-minute candle.
Okay, so each candle on that chart represents 5 minutes.
Represents 5 minutes. Yeah, and the thing about it is that if I would look at this thing in a day, in the intraday, at a day candle, you would see this thing hitting up, and the swings of this stock going from here to here to here to here would always be touching that 30. And I had made the mistake in a 1 minute before I understood to pull the chart back and look at it as a long-term investment, because that's what I was doing. I wasn't a trader, I was an investor in the stock. So what I could see is when I pulled it back, that we were touching this 30 right here. And as soon as it touches the 30, I would take a position in it. Now, granted, it wasn't a huge position, but it was teaching me to learn to read the charts. And I would take a trade here once it touches this 30 RSI. So 30 RSI is down here. If you follow my mouse here.
Yeah, and I'm going to stop you for a second. And you're mentioning RSI. Can you talk a little bit about how, because again, I think that a lot of the viewers are newer, like you are. Mm-hmm. How did you learn some of these technical indicators initially? RSI is one. Are there other ones that you're a fan of?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the moving averages, and the RSI, especially for a new trader, because they are the easiest ones to follow, right? We're not talking about wedges, we're not talking about bull flags, all that kind of stuff that takes some time to really look at a chart and be able to see it. This is plain as day. I mean, you can see that this thing is falling off, and you're hitting that bottom right there. At the same point, as a new trader, what I would suggest that you also do is when you look at this chart, look at this big sweep right here. Okay, we know that the progression of this stock is still in the range that is comfortable for us. We don't see any big dips. Let's see here. Let me get rid of some of the stuff here, Luke, just so I can get it as easy as possible here, because I want to show these EMAs.
EMA, exponential moving average.
Yeah, simple.
So basically, moving average that more heavily weights recent time periods.
Yeah. So this is the 180 right here. This is the big one to follow, okay? Because this is going to take the 180 days of the moving average of this stock, and as far as away as it gets from the candles to here, the more aggressive bull market this stock is going in. And he even got to the point where it was pretty much parabolic right here. This going straight up and down right here is a pretty parabolic move. So you know that this stock in the general position was still going forward. So if I take it back into this 5-minute candle here, right here, I was noticing this right here. So this is pretty much where we're at right here. These dips and then going, and dips and going. I was noticing that as I was watching it, because I wasn't really watching it on a 1 minute, 1 day, 1 minute candle. I was watching it from the long term. And this 5-minute candle, anytime it would hit this 30 RSI, I knew that this thing was going to be bought right back up, just from watching the stock each and every day. Every day, any dip was being bought up. And I didn't understand that until I started really watching some videos in the meantime while I was watching the stock about how to trade. And everybody I watched was talking about new traders, and the indicators to watch are the RSI, because you were getting a stock cheap. I mean, it's on sale right here. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I would do then is
and we should disclaim that it's not a rule, right?
No.
If it hits below the RSI dips below that line, you can still lose.
Yes,
but it's an indication that you can use.
Yeah, it's an indicator that you had a good chance of that being bought back up. So I would take a position anytime we would hit here, and I would swing it into the next day. And I was always waiting for that third candle. You see how every day that we were looking at these third candles right here, sometimes they would be green, sometimes they would be red, but no matter what, I was selling on that third candle on the swing. So if we caught this thing down here at the first RSI resistance, let's just say we caught it in here, right? The first time it hit 30, we're talking $12.36. And if I swung that thing into the next day and I got it up into here, we're talking, what is that? That's the 70 cents swing. Each and every day I would try to do this. Now on this particular next day here, you can see where it never hit. It never hit it. So I wouldn't trade it that day. Now this one right here in a pre-market, I mean, it was going down into here. And I would buy this right here. I mean, if this thing, anytime this thing came down below this RSI, I was taking a position. And I would swing it all the way through this day and into the next. Now, I always had the rule that I was waiting for this third candle, Luke. So, sometimes I would miss this right here, but that'd be okay because guess what? I was in here at 1250 and I was selling out here at almost 1350 if you really got crazy with it. I mean, so that's a dollar gain each and every day.
Yep.
And what it taught me was to look at the trends of the market. And not only to look at it over here in the big picture, how this thing is rolling, but also how it's doing intraday. Now, if I was to say, let's go to a 1 day, 1 minute, right? Here's a 1 day, 1 minute. And you can see in the 1 day, 1 minute candle, this thing is hitting 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we zoom out, if I would have bought it at this here in the 1 day, and swung it, more than likely this is going to be a losing trade for me because it's going underneath this the simple moving average, which is where pretty much it says that this stock is trending above it. And if I would have took that trade right there on that candle, I probably next day would have been on a losing end of a trade. So as a new trader, or I'm sorry, as a new investor, I keep saying trader because I want to stress the point that you're an investor. You cannot be in these 1 day, 1 minute charts unless you're really going after your day trades, your 3 day trades. Then I have no problem with you being in here. But to pump this thing out, now let's look. We've hit it once and it was right here and it closed even up here. So chances are that you're probably still going to be okay, but you might lose on this trade. Now, the thing that I would tell you too is that if any time that this stock starts to fall below this 180, more than likely this thing is looking to start taking a downtrend. So I would always try to take my trades when I knew the stock was above this 180. So right here on this one, this would probably have been a margin. This probably would have been a marginal call for me. If I wanted to swing, I probably would have done it. I mean, because the previous day the previous morning we were still above the 180. I probably would have took this and I would have swung it into the next day and got to that third candle. And we're talking from 92 down to 84. I mean, that's a pretty good swing. While you're watching your main position run. So I had a main position going and I also was swinging through here. And I think that's a good lesson for a new trader because when you get into these trades, you don't have a lot of capital. You don't have a lot of trades going. Usually you have 1 or 2 trades going and you're kind of watching those and you're sitting here in a 1 minute, 1 day, 1 minute. And when this thing falls like this, you're freaking out and you're probably looking to get out of your position. But if you would pull this chart back into this one, look at this. I mean, you're still okay, right? We're still way over this 180. This thing is still making its move. You're okay. And that's what I stress the most is, stop being in intraday and start looking at the overall move of the stock. And that'll verify whether, where you are, if you're still okay to be, making those swings. So that's where I got my start, really. I mean, this is where it set me off to know that, hey, my due diligence, my research was good. I stuck to my guns and I learned how to swing trade and really watch these charts, especially on the 5 minute. I mean, this is huge for a new trader. So we can see when we come in this trade, we're okay here. We're okay. Now we're starting to get a little bit nervous right here. We're starting to see this right here. this is where we start to get a little bit coming back down. Now, granted, my long-term position
And
still
David,
great. Yeah,
and but I hate to cut you off, but we are going to have to start wrapping it off. I'll have to
yeah,
pass it over to Neil, unfortunately, in a minute here.
yeah, no problem. So, like I said, there's probably 100 different things I could go through for new traders just to get a feel, for the market and where to go. So, but listen, I appreciate the time, Luke. I mean, what do you think about this, man? Is this something that you think a lot of people are going to get?
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, the biggest piece of feedback that we get, well, we get two. One is Luke, stop yelling. Second biggest piece of feedback that we get is let's get some more newer traders on there, people who recently went through this, who recently figured out how to get into their stride, and are just getting going. So I definitely appreciate you coming on today. You took us through the story. You took us through what you're looking at now, how you're trading. So it was awesome having you on here with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'd love to come back and anything I can do to help you guys out, let me know.
Woo, we appreciate it, David.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, and guys, in the chat here, I'm gonna drop a link to Neil. Sorry, we're making you guys switch streams. But Neil is gonna be going for the next hour or so talking about breakout trading. So I'm gonna spam the chat with this link in here. So go over and click into him. I won't be there. I have to go take lunch to my grandma. It's a nice little Valentine's Day treat since I can't go visit her. So I'm going to go drop off some lunch. David, you have any Valentine's Day plans?
I'm stuck in basketball, man. My kids are playing basketball. I coach a team. We got let's see, I think four games today. So I'm out of here, man. I'm off to the courts. So
all right, you're off to the courts. I'm off to my grandma's. I hope all of you are off to Neil. Again, I just spammed the chat with that link there. So click over, go check him out. And we'll be back at it next week. Markets close Monday. All right. Peace.